Welcome back to my channel. I'm Elaine and today I'm going to show you how to check for potential accessibility issues on your app using 3 different tools: the Power Apps Accessibility Checker, Chrome Contrast Checker, and the WCAG Luminosity Contrast Ratio Analyzer. So let's get started. Now let's first start by looking at the accessibility checker. So if you have been building Power Apps for a while, you would have noticed a stethoscope looking icon at the top right hand side, and which is called the app checker, and you would have used this app checker to check for any issues you have on the app, especially if you have errors or something couldn't publish, couldn't run. You will go to the app checker to see if you have made mistakes in your formulas. But do you know that the app checker also helps you check if your app is accessible? So if you click on the app checker over here, you'll see a few different sessions. So the formula session is the one that we normally use. But if you go all the way down here, you'll see the accessibility session, which a lot of times we tend to ignore. So if I come down and I drill into it, I'll see 3 main sections over here. You have the error, warning, and tips. So the errors are basically issues on the app that needs to be fixed, because if you do not fix it, anyone with disability could not use it at all. And then there's the warnings. And warnings are issues that should be fixed because it could possibly cause a problem for someone who have disability. And lastly, these tips. Tips are basically issues that are recommended to be fixed to improve the user experience. Now, as I'm recording this video, the Power Apps Checker can only detect 10 accessibility issues. Some of it are not renaming the screen name, leaving accessible label blank, do not set up your tab index, do not have a focus border, and a few other more. So what it doesn't do at the moment is it couldn't detect whether the font size is as per recommendation of WCAG, or if the contrast of the background and the foreground and the font is of high contrast based on the recommendation of WCAG. So that's where our other 2 tools will come into play. If you want to know more about the issues that detected by the accessibility checker and how to fix them, you can go to the Microsoft Docs, and if you come to the accessibility page over here, there is a page specifically for accessibility checker, and over here you can see the different types of issues that it detects, what it is, how to fix them, and why you fix them. I'll leave the link on the top and as well is in the comment below. Now let's look at the 2 other tools we have, which is the Chrome Color Checker and Luminosity. So both of these are doing the same thing. It helps to check if the colors used in the app are high contrast within the WCAG standard, so that it is user friendly to people with vision issues. For example, people with color blindness or low vision, and etc. So why I'm showing you 2 tools is because they are 2 same tools but used in different browsers, and you have an option to select which tool that you prefer. So obviously with the Chrome Checker, you use it on Chrome. I tried installing it in Edge. It doesn't work quite properly. That's why on Edge, I actually downloaded Luminosity. So let's first look at the Chrome Checker. Let me just close this one over here. So you can Google Chrome Color Checker, Chrome Color Contrast Checker, add in, and I think this is the one. Oops, that's not the one. So maybe this is the one. There you go. So now if you haven't added, you can add this in and you will see as an add-in on your browser over here. Now all I do is I can go to my app and then I'll just close this. So when you run the add-in, it actually checks for your whole browser, not just this section of your app itself. So when I click on it, as you can see over here, there's a lot of information on the screen. It has the level here, which is AAA and AA. So based on WCAG standard, AAA is the best, which means that it meets all the accessibility standards. AA is okay, still acceptable. So our aim is to reach AAA, but if you can't, AA is fine. And over here is a list of all the different type of color blindness. So if you see here, if I select one of the color blindness, it will actually reflect on my screen to show me how a color blind person, let's say someone with deutero normally, will see the colors. How would they see it on the app? So as you can see, now the colors have changed. If you notice, the blue color have changed. Maybe I'll do it again. I'll just go back to none. So you see how the blue is brighter. So now if I change it back to deutero normally, you see how it looks a bit more purple. So someone with this kind of color blindness will see it as purplish. And if I change it to, let's say, tritanopia, see how it looks greenish to them. So blue is one of those colors, blue, green, red, I think it's one of those colors that colorblind people do not see properly. So there are colorblind people who can't see blue color, or some people who can't differentiate red and yellow and etc. So this is a very good tool for you to use to gauge what color the colorblind person will see. And when you do that, you will be more aware of the colors you use, especially for buttons. So you don't want to use two colors that colorblind person could not differentiate. Like for example, if it's red and yellow and they couldn't differentiate, so you don't use these two colors as to differentiate the button. That's why it's always better to have text labels on a button. Firstly, so that the screen reader can read it, and secondly, people do not rely on the color to click on a button. So sometimes we like to do that for yes no buttons. We like to put it in two different colors. It's good because then you can differentiate yes and no, but more importantly, you need to have the label right on the buttons. So now I just go it back to none. And now over here, I want to see that, make sure that my colors are high contrast. So based on WCAG, the best color ratio between foreground and background is 4:5:1. Obviously, we can't measure 4:5:1. That's why we need tools like this. So if you scroll down to the bottom over here, you can see that the font size and the color is related. So the higher the contrast it is, you can use a smaller font size and it's still accessible friendly. But the lower contrast of the color, then your font size have to be bigger to be accessible friendly. So how do I use this tool? So for the foreground, now let's say if I want to select, my foreground now is black, so that's fine, and my background is white, so that's fine. So if you look at the chart over here, if the font size, regardless the font size is small or large, it is still acceptable, and actually it's perfect because there's a 2 tick on a AAA over here. But what if I change my font size color? Like what if I put the font size as yellow, right? So now if I change this to yellow, okay. So what I do is for the foreground, I'll click on this color picker over here, and then I'll just select on the yellow, and my background is still white. So now you see how it fails the checker. So it doesn't meet the WCAG standard and the contrast is only 1.05. So that is not recommended. So this is how you can use this color checker to determine if the colors that you're using is accessible. The final tool I'm going to show you today is the Luminosity checker. So it does the same thing as the Chrome contrast color checker, except that it's a different add-in. And I found that with the Chrome contrast checker, it doesn't work properly as an add-in on my Edge browser, whereas this one does. So I thought it's worth showing you because it's two different add-ins, two different interface. You can choose which one you like better. Let me first go to my Edge browser, and I already have the Luminosity installed. So this is the full name, WCAG Luminosity Contrast Ratio Analyzer. If you want to install this, just Google for this Luminosity Contrast Ratio Analyzer and you can find the add-in and can easily add it to the browser. I'll leave the links to all these add-ins in the comment below as well. So now once I have this add-in, I just need to click on it and you have this pop-up over here. And as you can see, it does the same thing like what the Chrome contrast checker does. It gives you the contrast ratio over here on the right hand side. You're able to select the foreground and the background, and based on it, it will tell you whether it's comply to the WCAG standard, whether it's AAA, which means excellent, or AA, which means okay. So the only difference that I see in these two tools here is that in Chrome Contrast Checker, the regular text is 14 point as well. It's not 12, whereas on this tool over here, it's 12. So I have a look at the WCAG document. I think it's the version 2.1. It didn't actually specify what is the minimum font size. However, it does specify that the font size needs to be on a reasonable size that a normal eye could see, and the contrast between the font and the background, it has to be high contrast. It cannot be of low contrast like yellow and white or orange and brown, that it makes it hard to read, and you need to be able to zoom it up to 200%. So that's the only requirement for the font size. Therefore, I think when we build apps, we just have to be practical when we select the fonts and the colors. So let's see how we use these tools over here. So first of all, I will need to pick my colors. So I could actually enter this if I know the exact color of my background or foreground. But if I do not know the color, for instance, the background color, I want to pick the blue. What I can do is I select on the background, select pick colors. And you can see over here this magnifying glass. And as you scroll over to the different colors, you can see that on your upper left hand side, you can see the color changes, and you have also the color code over here. So now if I want blue, I'll just select this blue, and then I'll select on the blue, and then I'll come here. Yep. So see now how the background changed to dark cyan, and the foreground, which is my font, is white in color. So based on this analyzer here, it says that if I'm using 18 point as my text, then it's perfect. See how it passed AAA. But if I just use 12 points as my text, then it's only okay, which means it passed AA, but it's not perfect. So that's how you can use this Luminosity Contrast Ratio Analyzer. Another thing is that it also does the same thing where you can actually check for color blindness. So if you click on these three lines over here, you see how you can change it to challenge vision. And as you select different challenge vision, you can see that the color changes on the app. Same like just now, if I select Tritanopia, someone with this color blindness condition, you will see as green and not blue. So this is very useful if you want to make sure that your app is colorblind friendly. That's all I have for you today. And for more accessibility videos, you can click on the link either on the left or the right hand side of the screen, or I've left it on the comments below. If you like my video, give me a like and remember to hit subscribe. Bye!